Alex Pereira might be a newcomer to the Ultimate Fighting Championship promotion, but has been around the kickboxing circuit for long enough to have built up a fearsome reputation. With his old rival Israel Adesanya saying that he would not fight him right now, Pereira said he's just scared to face him again. In today's video, we'll be discussing Alex Pereira's comments about Israel Adesanya and other UFC news. Stay tuned. So, what is the history between the two? The former two-division champion of Glory, Pereira appears to be as confident as one could be in his abilities. Not only that, but he is confident in the fact that he has everything that it takes to take down the reigning UFC middleweight champion who has successfully defended the title 4 times. The reason is that, back when the two were not contracted to the UFC, they went up against each other twice in kickboxing, and Pereira was the victor in both of their duels. Pereira defeated Adesanya in 2 different matches, the first of which came via decision win in 2016 and a knockout victory in 2017. Poatan defeated the last stylebender in China and followed up the victory with an even more impressive one in Brazil, a knockout win with a vicious left hook. It has been 5 years since the two faced off, and Pereira is fresh off of his debut UFC victory and appears to be quite confident that Adesanya will not be up for a third fight. Poatan has a successful debut night at UFC 268, having to sweat it out in the first round. After a first round that saw him controlled by Andreas Michailidis in the grappling exchanges, Pereira came out in the second round playing to his strengths and knocked out his opponent with an exquisite, picture-perfect flying knee. What has been said? In February 2022, the last stylebender refused to entertain the idea of a fight against the Brazilian UFC newcomer, calling any talks regarding the matter as premature. He did express his curiosity, saying he did want to see how Pereira manages in the UFC. The key reason Adesanya dismissed the idea was because he believes that Pereira should try and work his way up and through the middleweight division before challenging the reigning champion. Pereira has, on the other hand, taken the comments very differently and has said that these comments are for one to prove that Adesanya is afraid of going up against him to avoid a third loss. According to Pereira, Adesanya's comments are laughable at best because even though he says he is anxious to fight Pereira, Adesanya does not seem to be making the necessary efforts and calls to set the fight up. He says that if it was him in Adesanya's place, he would have immediately set up the fight as soon as the person he wanted to fight signed up for the UFC. Pereira does not seem to be trusting Adesanya's words, saying that as the middleweight champion, he has a certain influence and respect among the company, and he should have told them to cancel or reschedule the Robert Whittaker fight and instead stepped into the octagon against Pereira. Pereira literally laughed hearing the comments from Adesanya. He was speaking on the weekly Portuguese language podcast Tropical Franca, which is hosted by MMA Fighting. He broke down Adesanya's comments, saying that how can he at one point say he's looking forward to fighting but at the same time call it premature? He discussed his previous fights against Adesanya and said that he finds it easier to beat him than to get to know him. He is of the opinion that Adesanya does not want to admit he is scared of the prospect of facing him because he does not want to admit how strong Pereira really is, while at the same time he wants to see Adesanya slip out of reach of Poatan. Adesanya wants to see the possibility of facing Pereira at a time when he has been in a sticky sort of form so that he can wiggle his way out. Pereira says that the last stylebender's actions and words don't seem to align, considering the fact that if he was truly crazy about proving himself better than Pereira, then he would be jumping at the chance to fight and not putting it off for some unforeseeable future. According to the Brazilian, Adesanya is making a fool out of his fan base, and he wants the people to pressure him into getting into the ring. If not for the express purpose of self-satisfaction, Adesanya could set up the fight just for the sake of his fans and prove to them that he is indeed the best and not scared of going up against anyone in the octagon. Next, Pereira confident he beats Adesanya in MMA. Pereira did not hold back while speaking about his aim of fighting the reigning middleweight champion for a third time and beating him for a third time. He appears self-assured that having already gotten the better of him in kickboxing, if given the chance, Pereira would do the same in MMA as well. He says that Adesanya had gotten comfortable in UFC, thinking that he would not have to go up against Pereira again. He says that during his title defense against Whittaker, he was able to accurately predict all of Adesanya's movements, and that for him is the biggest precursor to the idea he still knows how to beat him. What's next for the two? With the duel between the two nowhere near becoming reality, Adesanya is expected to mount a 5th title defense of his middleweight division belt against Jared Cannonier. The date of the fight has not yet been set, but the champion will be going into the fight as the favorite yet again. Poatan is aware that he'll not be realistically getting a shot at Adesanya anytime soon, even if he wins his next bout against fellow Brazilian Bruno Silva at UFC Vegas 50. And yet, despite all of that, he's aware that his presence in the UFC will be bothering the champion already. Now, in other UFC news, Henry Cejudo angry with the UFC. Despite the fact that he has been retired for the past 2 years now, Cejudo still commands significant respect and importance in the MMA world. He has been busy in the last 2 years with coaching others and appearing on podcasts, but most importantly, he's been busy teasing the idea that he might return to the UFC and step back into the octagon to try and win a record 3rd different weight classes world title. Should he manage to pull off the incredible feat, he will become the exclusive one and only member of the group of fighters to have achieved that. What appears to be the problem, and the biggest hurdle in the way of this feat, is the fact that the UFC doesn't seem to value the former bantamweight and former flyweight champion as much as he believes himself to be worth. He recently expressed his frustration at the fact that the UFC is willing to spend big money on Adesanya, who is terrible at defending takedowns, or on Masvidal, who has 17 career losses, but they won't give him the same money. Tuivasa wants to go at Stipe Miocic? Tai Tuivasa is one of the most exciting fighters in the UFC as a whole, and he's recently expressed his interest in going up against a fighter who is widely considered to be the greatest of all time in the heavyweight division. Tuivasa had a phenomenal rise to the top of the heavyweight rankings after he knocked out Derek Lewis, a former title challenger at UFC 271. He has won all of his last 5 bouts and all of them by a knockout. Boasting an impressive record of 8-3 in the UFC, it is plausible that another win might just give him a shot at the title, and Miocic, with the outstanding UFC record of 14-4, just might be the man for the moment. Up next, Dos Santos to Eagle FC. Junior Dos Santos, or Cigano, has become the latest fighter to make the switch from UFC to Khabib Nurmagomedov's Eagle FC promotion. The former UFC heavyweight champion will be serving as the main attraction on the Eagle FC 48 card, where he'll be going up against Yorgan de Castro, a fellow former UFC fighter. Back in his home country, the Brazilian's widely considered one of the greatest heavyweights to feature in MMA. He will be returning to the ring after more than a year, with his last fight at UFC 256 ending in a knockout loss at the hands of Ciro Gane. He was at the peak of his career and form almost a decade ago in 2011, back when he was crowned the heavyweight champion after a knockout victory over Cain Velasquez. He was released from the UFC in March 2021 after his losing streak extended to 4 against Gane. And that's a wrap for this video. Will we see Pereira's wish to go up against Adesanya fulfilled? Will he be the fighter who finally dethrones the last style bender? Let us know in the comments below. Make sure to give this video a thumbs up, subscribe to our channel for more videos like this, and we'll see you in the next one.